Hello, welcome to the crash course. Today I'm going to be going through how to complete the square, which is one of the most confusing questions for many students when it comes to algebra. So let's start by identifying what the trigger word is. Whenever you see this, x plus a square plus b, they might not even use the words complete the square. They might just tell you change the quadratic term into this form, and you must know that they are asking you to complete the square. So number one, please ensure that you're able to identify this trigger word or this trigger equation. And now we can go through the 4 steps it takes to complete the square. I'm going to use this question as an example. So this question is change this into this form. So we know the trigger word, the trigger equation. We need to change this quadratic equation into a completed square form. So what's the first thing we do? The first thing that we have to do is to identify b over 2. We know that b is over here, which is 4. So let's just write everything out. A equals to 1, b equals to 4, and c equals to -6. Always be careful about the negative sign. So for step number 1, we know that our b over 2 square is 4 over 2 square. I'm going to leave it like this because this is important for the next step, which is to bracket all x terms in the quadratic equation. The quadratic equation that they're talking about is over here. The one over here. So this is the quadratic equation in the question. Let us bracket all the x terms and we are done. So I'm just going to rewrite it so that it is neat and you can see the flow on how to solve this question. This is bracket x squared plus 4x close bracket minus 6. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is to add b over 2 squared in the bracket and minus b over 2 squared outside the bracket. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. The first step is to add what we found over here, 4 over 2 squared, in the bracket. So let's just rewrite everything. X squared plus 4x, leave a bit of space, and we add our b over 2 term inside. This is plus b, this is plus 4 over 2 squared. Okay, we're done with the first part of 3. And the second part is to minus it outside the bracket. So we know that outside the bracket, there is a -6. Now, let's minus it outside the bracket. So minus 4 over 2 square. And we are done. So we're almost there. Last step. Okay, so the last step includes a story. I'm going to tell you a story on how we can complete this whole question. So this story is about a pirate, all right? So this pirate is going to be this guy over here because he has a little parrot on top of his shoulder. You know how pirates have parrots. Oh, that rhymes a bit. Yeah, so this pirate has a parrot on his shoulder. But not only does this pirate has a parrot, he actually has a wife. So his wife is actually in step number 1. So his wife has a parrot on top as well. What happens is the both of them get married, right? Husband and wife, and then they leave the parrot outside because they want to have a bit of a honeymoon. So we're going to put only the pirate and the wife inside the honeymoon, and the parrot stays outside. All right, so that's for the pirate story. That's for step number 1. Step number 2 for step 4 is to calculate whatever is outside this bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and get my calculator. -6 minus 2 squared. We get -10. And we are done. This is the completed square form. So let's zoom out a bit. As you can see, the first part is exactly the same. Now we know that our A is 4 over 2. So we can actually take one step to simplifying this. So this is x plus 2 squared minus 10. And from here, we can compare. Our A is 2. And for the second part, we can see that our B is -10 or -10. And we are done with completing the square with just 4 steps. So let's go through the 4 steps one more time. First, we find what is b over 2a, and then we bracket all our x terms in the quadratic equation, as you can see for step 2 here. Step number 3, we add what we found in step 1 inside the bracket. So our bracket is over here after we bracket the term. So we add the b over 2 inside, and then we minus it outside. So that's what we did over here. Step number 4, using the pirate story, we get the pirate and the wife inside a room alone, but their parrots stay outside. And then we calculate and we leave it outside as well, and we're done. So we just simplify whatever's in the bracket, and you have just completed the square.